Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you so much for our time together. I don't even pretend to know where to start today. I mean, we have the passage in Acts with the salvation of Paul, which many times as I read it all through my life, I've sat down and wept as I look at an incredible trophy to the grace of God, that God just steps into a man's life who's determined to do wrong and shows him right. That's why you often hear me say the statement, I don't trust in my ability to hear the voice of God. I trust in God's ability to make His voice known. Our Psalms passage is so incredibly encouraging and uplifting, especially for those of you that are going through challenges right now. Kings are always incredible. And even in Proverbs, I don't know where to start. Now, there's two Proverbs for us for Father's Day coming up tomorrow. There's verse 15, the rod of correction imparts wisdom, but a child left to himself disgraces his mother. Fathers, we need to correct our children. Otherwise, when they get older, they're going to embarrass us. In verse 17, discipline your son and he will give you peace. He will bring delight to your soul. Discipline there is not the idea of punish, but it has the element of correction, but heavy emphasis on the concept of instruction. So we've got a couple of beautiful Proverbs for Father's Day. Verse 18, though, and verse 16 are so typical of the modern church world that we live in. You know, I've lived through revival. I was part of the end of the charismatic movement in the late 1970s. I've lived through those periods in between revival where the church becomes so corrupt and then God comes back and in His mercy and grace revives His work again in the midst of its days. And I look around the church world today and I see that there's so much more. Verse 18 says, where there is no revelation, the people cast off restraint. Where there is no open revelation, where there is no open vision of God, the people cast off restraint. They live undisciplined lives. Many churches today, the sermons are, forgive me, nothing but something that was copied off Sermon Central with I would not call him a pastor, I would call it a presenter, like a news anchor standing up and reciting the lesson for the day. And the emphasis is on everybody talking to each other and having a Starbucks coffee with each other. And you go, I want God in this place. I want God in this place. When there's an open revelation of God, God's people live disciplined lives. But I want to focus for just a minute on verse 16. When the wicked thrive, so does sin, but the righteous will see their downfall. Now we live in a world in which it seems that wrong is called right and right is called wrong. We live in a world in which the wicked are literally thriving right now. And forgive me, even sometimes in the church world, the wicked thrive. People that have lived horrible lives of sodomy and adultery and gambling and womanizing and alcohol. And they're, quote, the leaders in the Christian movement. And you look at it and go, I don't get it. I know, God, there's always 7,000 that have never bowed their knee to Baal, but sometimes, Lord, this is hard. It's hard to look around and see the wicked, even in the church, thriving. Because when you see the wicked thrive, it says, so does sin. So does sin. You wonder why sin is so rampant today. It's because the wicked are thriving. The wicked are flourishing. But I want you to notice what God promises. And this is the hope He gives to us. But the righteous will see their downfall. Brothers and sisters, forgive me, God is a God of justice. Yes, He's a God of grace, but He's also a God of justice. And we can't go out and fight the sin of this world. That's not our role. We can't go out and judge the sin of the world. That's not our role. But sometimes when you see it just multiplying like fleas on a dog, you just, God, and then you remember, there is a God in heaven. There is a God of justice. And we will see the wicked fall. We will see righteousness exalted in the church. We will see righteousness exalted in our nations. We will see righteousness exalted in this world. We will see the wicked fall. So brothers and sisters, when you You see the wicked thriving, and you see sin increasing in your offices because there's a new boss who's corrupt, and so corruption just explodes. You see a boss who's a homosexual, and then homosexuality explodes. You see a boss who's a drunk, and you see alcoholism explode. When you see people causing sin to explode, don't get upset, don't get mad, don't go to war. Remember this verse: the righteous will see them fall.